my latest. This week's Acca podcast sponsored by Sky Bet Acca Freeze. Tom, Jake and Jimmy with you to run through the schedule. Coming up on this episode then, we're making it a bit of a bank holiday special two-parter for this weekend. The first of which sees us talking about the championship final day that takes place at 12:30 on Saturday, before we switch focus to the playoffs across the divisions, picking out our best bets and fancies. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel on YouTube to make sure that you never miss an episode. And remember to keep it fun. Never bet more than you can afford. This podcast is 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly. So naturally, the EFL, well, League One and League Two, is done for the regular season. This podcast is going to be slightly different then. It is going to be tough to build an accumulator when you don't have as many games. Who thought that, eh? So the first part, we're basically going to do two parts to this. It's kind of a two-parter in one episode. The first part, we're going to talk Championship Final Day, which takes place at 12:30. Automatic promotion still to be decided. It's kind of decided. Playoffs still to be decided. Kind of decided. Relegation still to be decided. That's actually quite open. So we'll talk about that. And then the second part, we'll pick out some best bets and stuff in the Championship. The second part, it's League One, it's League Two. Those playoffs kick off on Friday with League One, and then Monday is League Two. So we will talk our outright fancies, any best bets for the first legs. So while we may not have an Acca, we should hopefully be able to put a treble together for 12:30. We will still hopefully be giving you lots of tasty, questionably winning, maybe, bets to get involved with. Are we happy with that?
Hell yeah.
Before we get into it then, as always, I want a recap of last week. I can't remember what happened, but I know it didn't win.
Yeah, you're
right.
right.
It felt like it didn't. One game didn't come close. It felt like the others did. It was a whole week, less than a week ago. I can't remember what happened.
Yeah, we did something different. Over 2.5 goal, 5-fold. I think 3 of them won. One finished 1-1, and then there was a 0-0 in there with Coventry Blackburn, I believe. Which was
one game that we thought, that's going to have loads of goals, isn't it?
Yeah, especially Cov down to 10 men for quite a large portion of that match. Thought Blackburn might take the initiative, guarantee themselves some safety, but didn't happen. Yeah, it was fun at least. I mean, cheering on goals is different to cheering on a team, isn't it? Because your bet is never dead.
It's never dead.
Never dead.
Yeah, it was a weird one for me. I went fishing, so I wasn't across the results because obviously I don't have a phone, but I took a radio and I left my digital one out in the rain, so I couldn't get 909 on this one because it was you have to do it manually, basically. Analog. It was just so I was scrolling through the digital channels, stumbled upon Radio Chef. It had the Donny frequency away at Gillingham, and I had to wait for the scores at like 5:20.
Didn't have Wednesday at home to Brom.
Well, it did, but I couldn't find the frequency.
Right.
Like I didn't have the answers. I just had to go through a radio manually. It was like this.
Can you recreate the
like the Stone Age,
the moment where the Doncaster keeper got sent off?
Oh my God! I'll get into that actually later because we're going to talk about Donny, aren't we?
But I want to hear what the commentator said.
Blimey, he's being sent off here.
Any comments there from the YouTube? Because I know it's your favourite part. And then we will, of course, get stuck into it a little bit.
Yeah, not as much as usual. So people have been slacking. I don't know if that's because we've been smashing in the winners lately.
Have we?
No. Someone, Welsh Hibby put drizzle, guys. But I was actually wondering what this meant. I didn't know if you guys knew.
Drizzle. Is it raining?
I don't know. Raining goals, maybe?
Maybe. That could be it.
I don't know. Well, Shibby, if you can help us out with that one. And absolutely classic comment from Jonathan Edwards 2456. He's put, fair play to him. He stuck his neck out before the Acca's kicked off because a lot of people like to get involved after.
We like that.
Tell us how shit it is after, but respect, massive props for Jonathan Edwards who put, would there be goals in Swindon game? Them boys are on the beach, nothing to play for fuck's sake, with a monkey emoji like this. Just the 6 goals in that game.
Nice.
So that's all the comments.
Yeah, you should have picked the Coventry game for that comment.
Yeah, he could have grilled us on the comments.
Producers wisely informed me that Urban Dictionary says drizzle means extremely shit. Times that by 2 if that's what he meant. Then he was correct because it was, and it didn't win.
Yep.
Can't argue with that, can you?
Let's get into it then. Championship. Let's start there. 12:30. As I said at the start, It's technically still all to play for. It's not. Leicester have won the league. Ipswich have got already relegated Huddersfield. Well, they're not already relegated, but if they can win 16-0, they deserve to stay up. Fair play to them. They're basically up. Leeds are basically in third. Southampton are in fourth. We're kind of playing for seeding in the fifth, sixth. Hull can still get there. They rely on West Brom losing to Preston. And at the other end, it's effectively between Birmingham and Plymouth Argyle, I think mainly. A lot can happen still. There are 4 teams, is it, that are involved in that relegation picture, really. But to me, it feels like it's those two. So all to play for at 12:30.
Big time. The relegation, like I said, is the interesting part because, on paper, it looks like it's Birmingham and Plymouth between those two. But if Birmingham win, Plymouth win, which, both of them got home games, Sheffield Wednesday or Blackburn lose, and all of a sudden Wednesday and Blackburn go down. Fairly simple. But Wednesday and Blackburn, because of the goal difference, is inferior to Birmingham's and Plymouth's. If Blackburn's would be if Birmingham won, then, they're not out of the woods yet. And both have got away games. Blackburn play Leicester. Leicester looking for a 100-point season. They're going to lift the trophy on the weekend. So that's not going to be an easy game. And Sheffield Wednesday go to Sunderland. And again, it's one of those weird games where Wednesday are in such good form, you'd expect them to get a point. But Sunderland have just nothing to play for. Free hit last game of the season. They could do anything. There's a bit of needle still between the two clubs after the playoff campaign a couple of years ago. So they might be happy to see Wednesday get relegated. They might put on a bit of a performance. So, I'm as a Wednesday fan, if you'd have said I'd be in this position the final day of the season, I'd have said you're having a laugh. 3 points after 11 games. But as it is now, I'm looking at Wednesday to be relegated at 18-1 and thinking I'm hedging my bets here. I'm going to stick a tenner on this because it's the most Wednesday thing to do is to pull themselves back into some sort of safety and then still get relegated.
I'll be there for that. Absolutely. I was looking at Wednesday's results and I was thinking the Norwich game, wonderful comeback. They just went long throw-ins direct into the box. Scored from 2 corners, actually. Didn't know anything about the Stoke game, but I watched the Blackburn game and I thought, wow, lucky. Windass, great taking goal. Great taking goal. Fair play to him, but mistake. And then he kicked one in his own net. But then I saw the West Brom game and I thought, shit, they're actually the real deal here. Yeah. And fair play to him because they got 11 points from the last 15. They only need 1 more to stay up. Confirmed, doesn't matter what anybody else does. And with that in mind, I've gone for a classic. Beadle to be booked.
It's the Wednesday keeper.
Yep, he's the Wednesday keeper. Simple. Just going to pull out all the stops to hold on to the point because I don't with the stakes on this game. I don't think it's going to be straight. It's never going to be straightforward on final day, is it? Especially given the context of Sunderland having nothing to play for. So what are they to lose apart from get one over, send somebody down?
What sort of price are we looking at?
Well, it is only priced with 365 and midnight. I've never even heard of that firm before, but they're on Odds-Checker. It's 11-2 with 365. But Sky are usually the market leaders in this market, so wait for them. It's usually out Friday morning. Hopefully something like 13-2, 7-1 maybe. If you're greedy, you can combine it with a Wednesday result. But I don't think it's worth doing that because it's going to be such a topsy-turvy game. I just do the card on the nose.
Well, I noticed this when I was talking before about the Ipswich Leeds situation. Leeds are 16-1 with some firms to finish in the top 2. But it's 18-1. The Huddersfield beat Ipswich, Leeds beat Southampton. That's the only way that can happen. Your Sheffield Wednesday shout, Birmingham, Plymouth, Sunderland, treble, which is what needs to happen, isn't it? Basically, that Birmingham and Plymouth have to win. Yep. Sheffield Wednesday have to basically lose to go down is the most likely, is 20-1 or 21-1.
Like that.
Probably the best way to do it. But then obviously you could go, but what if they draw and this, that, and the other? And it gets all into the complicated things there. Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper booking at that end of the table feels the right area to stay in. Is there anything else kind of relegation teams-wise that potentially has caught the eye? Because the fixture list has worked out quite interesting that Birmingham host Norwich, who aren't in the playoffs, but are
9-goal
in the
swing
playoffs. Hull need a win and favours their way when they go to Plymouth. So it's kind of 2 games that are a lot riding on it at both ends. So potential value, maybe?
That was the second most important part about Sheffield Wednesday's win last week against West Brom. Not only did they get the 3 points, but it also meant that West Brom was still catchable for Hull, who play Plymouth on the final day. So, kudos to Wednesday for not only for getting that win, but it does put Plymouth and Hull in a real predicament where both have got to go for a win to kind of justify or get their rewards at the end of the season as to what they're looking for. That's going to be a really interesting game because Plymouth's home form before the win against Leicester had been absolutely atrocious, and Hull are really flying. They're scoring a lot of goals as well. Hull's price at 11-10 did look fairly big to me, because if you just think about, you get to half-time, Birmingham are 1-0 up against Norwich. Plymouth are going to have to go for it, and Hull are more than capable of just picking them apart with their tricky plays that they've got. So I definitely will be looking at Hull to win at that kind of price, which obviously could send Plymouth down.
I think there's always this thing on final day going, I wonder if they know what's going on elsewhere. They absolutely know what's going on elsewhere. The
fans don't tell you. I'm pretty sure they've got
the behind closed doors season of the Championship, it was Leeds versus Charlton on final day. Leeds had already won the title. Charlton were battling to stay up. On the bench, they had phones going of the other games involved at the bottom end of the division. They all clearly know what's going on around there as well. So anything kind of circumstance-wise betting, and you think, they will absolutely know every single scenario that's going on. The bench will be well aware. They'll communicate to the players what needs to do. There's no point in going for a win if a point is enough, and vice versa. Don't just settle for it. They'll absolutely know. So stuff like the goalkeeper cards, other things like that are definitely kind of a goer. Hull to beat Plymouth then was a potential there. Any other results-wise that kind of jump out? Because I think, to me, I'd go to the top end and take Leicester 8-13 at home to Blackburn. The old Jimmies, they've been on the piss all week. 100 points in front of their own fans, or going for 100 points in front of their own fans. Trophies there, great atmosphere. Blackburn aren't going to go down. There's too many teams. A lot needs to happen, really, I think, if they are to go down.
For them to go down, they need Birmingham win, Plymouth win, Wednesday draw, Blackburn loss.
So for the context of relegation odds, if I can quickly find the Blackburn are 16s, Wednesday 16, so again, a lot needs to happen there. But to me, it's a price that jumps out that just because it's the last day, just because they've won stuff, they're not going to down tools, I don't think. I think with it being the day they get the trophy, bouncing kind of party scenes around the King Power, it's just a significantly better team anyway, but it all just seems to be, surely this is a routine home win for your final day, Accas.
No.
Okay.
It's not. Blackburn aren't safe.
They are safe.
Are they safe?
Yeah, they're not going down. Come on, look at the table. They are level on points with Sheffield Wednesday, but they have 10 better goal difference. So Birmingham 3 points, Plymouth 2 points, Wednesday goal difference. It's
Birmingham win, Blackburn lose, Blackburn are down on.
No, because Wednesday are below.
Birmingham need to win, Plymouth need to win, Wednesday need to draw, and Blackburn need to lose for Blackburn to go down.
Very plausible.
I mean, it's not beyond the realms of possibility.
Thank you, Jay.
But I'm with Carnduff. I think this price of Leicester. Imagine if this was just a normal league game. What price are you going to get for that?
It's not a normal league game, you pair of morons, is it? Is it? You got a team who've won the title against a team that aren't guaranteed safety. John Eustace as well. What is he? A bit of a draw master. He's a connoisseur at it. I just think you're absolute
draws are not reliable,
morons. The pair of you. I can't believe what I'm hearing.
Did you know that Leicester could be only the second team to pick up 100 points in 2 different seasons in the Championship? That's that's pretty good.
Quite remarkable that we're saying they could be, when if this was a conversation a couple of months ago, we'd go, they'll do that.
Do it easy.
Do that in a few weeks, wouldn't they? I think that, having had that tail off point, I think it is probably more significant than you think to them to actually get that marker, because they looked so on for it. We're talking about them as the record points breaker at various points. They're now fallen, not well short, but I mean, if they don't win here, it not even picked up the 100 points, which I know it sounds like an easy thing. They've got to be well up for this. Yeah. What Maresca's like. He's worked with Guardiola. You know what those weirdos are like. They're a bit like, no, everything matters, yada, yada, yada. 8-13-ish, was it, Leicester or something like that? 4-6 on the win.
Too big of a price.
It's a jump out price to me. Get with us, Jim Rod.
Let's be honest. Leicester, they were already promoted in midweekend to Preston, and they'd not sealed the title, but they went there and absolutely destroyed Preston.
Yeah, that is true.
They destroyed Southampton last weekend as well. Like, they're finishing the season with a flourish.
Have they got any pissheads in the team? I'm just looking at the expected lineup. Yeah, but
I really enjoyed Vardy's goal against Preston.
Oh my god!
That is just such Jamie Vardy for absolutely no reason. I'm going to lever this as hard as I can.
Imagine
try
if he'd missed.
He did. At one point, I thought he had booted it over. I thought, what are you doing, mate?
He's lost his footing, hasn't he?
Leicester and a Hull double in this case, you're pushing around 5-2, depending where you look, which is pretty decent if you wanted it there. It feels right to mention Leeds at home to Southampton, Ipswich at home to Huddersfield.
Yeah. Do you want to just explain what needs to happen?
Huddersfield, already relegated, basically. Well, not already relegated, but they are relegated because of goal difference. Need to beat Ipswich. Leeds then need to beat Southampton. If that happens, Leeds
Go up on
goal difference, basically. Unless it's something bizarre happens, which isn't mathematically possible. Yeah. It's effectively that's the way that needs to go around. It's 2-9 that Ipswich win. It's 1-2 that Leeds win. I don't like either price. I'll be honest with you. Leeds have just hit a really poor run of form. I think all 4 playoff teams, whoever it is, isn't going to exactly be flying into it. I don't think anyone really is a form team, bar maybe Norwich. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen on final day.
Got 6 wins between them across the last 20.
That is just
really
so bad, isn't it? Ipswich at home to Huddersfield as well. It's just something about playing already relegated teams that I hate. To me, I don't know. I still think they'll win, but to me, it's like I'd rather just play a team that have got something to play for than an already relegated team who... Forget this, Huddersfield will want to drop Leeds, Huddersfield will want to stop Leeds going up. Last time Leeds went up, it was on Huddersfield beating West Brom. So completely forget that. It's just completely nothing. They're playing for their own pride and things like that, regardless of what is kind of going on behind the scenes in the manager.
How do Huddersfield set up there, by the way? Because they
how have they set up at any point?
Well, shit.
Yeah, what they've been doing.
They're technically still in... They need a miracle 16-goal swing, which, let's be honest, is not going to happen. But do they attempt it? Do they... try and take the game to Ipswich? Because if they do, they're just going to get destroyed. Then the goal difference is going to get worse.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of just be wary of teams who the pressure is finally off having... It's not like Rotherham, who was so far behind, and it's like, well, we knew we were relegated anyway.
Give up.
It's the worry of playing a team who the pressure is finally off. We've gone down. We know it's mathematically not there. We are down. That's it. It's done.
I guess you've got people playing for potentially contracts or moves or whatever, but again, Ipswich only need a point.
Yeah, it's just
again,
horrible.
2-9. It's not worth it, that price, is it?
I think the worst thing that's happened for Leeds is that Ipswich is still alive on final day. Southampton against Stoke. Let's make some changes. Let's rest up. Probably do the same at Elland Road again. Because even the slightest knock now, you're injured, you're out of the playoffs. Probably would have been better for Leeds if they could just go. We could just make a whole host of changes, keep everyone fresh for a first leg of the semi-final. Too short on both then, are we saying? Are we completely avoiding these, or are we overthinking it and just going, well, both need to win, both probably will win, and we are as we are?
Yeah.
So, sorry, I tuned out for a minute then.
Ipswich.
Or
Leeds at short prices.
Give me the Punt tuning out.
Don't like either. No, so I was just looking because you said about teams going into the playoffs, none of them are in form, but I was just looking then, and West Brom are actually falling off a cliff. I just wanted to go back to that. I do think the 2 games Ipswich and Leeds, I just don't want to touch them. To round off that conversation.
Thanks for that.
West Brom at home to Preston.
Yeah.
Simple home win against a Preston side with nothing to play for. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. 5 points from the last 6. They're towards the bottom end of the form table.
Just read out where Preston are.
Preston have got 4 from the last 6 as well. So I don't know if they're on the beach, but something is very wrong at West Brom.
Yeah, it's worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, very wrong.
I think for the sake of the playoffs and entertainment, I would like to see Hull in there instead of West Brom.
Me too.
So I think that would make I think Hull versus Leeds would be a better contest. And I think they're just more entertaining to watch, and they're coming in with a bit more consistency, aren't they?
I'm fully aware that this will get clipped and backfire when they chin Leeds over 2 legs, but I think Leeds would prefer to play Norwich despite West Brom's own form. I could easily see Corberan, as we saw at the Hawthorns, doing a number on Leeds over 2 legs, whereas Norwich has all the potential to be absolute chaos and an unbelievable gripping watch for 2 legs. Whereas you can see kind of West Brom just sitting back, frustrating Leeds, and then getting a job done at the Hawthorns, holding out and drawing at Elland Road and going through. I'm aware we've gone on for a lot there, and we've spoke about a lot.
A lot of permutation.
We want to get to the playoff chat, as we spoke there, the Championship of League 1 and League 2. A lot of bets have been said there, but what we'll do is let's make a treble of our own favourites that you can maybe get involved with. Of course, it's not a straight result. It can be anything that you want that we've mentioned there. One best bet for the 12:30 final day of the Championship. If you can pick just one, we'll make a little this week's Acca treble for that final day. What would you want including?
Right, let's start off with a 16-1 goal scorer then.
Right, you've gone mental. Okay.
I've got mental.
One you haven't said yet.
No, I've not.
The recap bit, you've
We-
dropped it in now.
Yeah, we didn't discuss the Birmingham Norwich game. Obviously, Birmingham need to win. Norwich need a point. But I just looking at the data. Norwich are 6th in the league for the XG from set pieces this season. They've scored the 3rd most goals. Birmingham conceded the most XG from set pieces, so they are very vulnerable. So I'm looking at Shane Duffy to score any time at 16-1. He had 5 shots last weekend against Swansea. So he is a bit of a set piece monster. 16-1 looks quite big. And again, we're not going to put this into an accumulator as a 16-1, but as a single, as a little single poke at 12.30, I think it's worth just having a couple of quid on that.
Give us one we can treble up.
Treble up Hull.
Hull?
Hull at Plymouth, yeah.
All the way at Plymouth. Jimrod, where would you like to go?
I thought we were gonna do a big daft one.
We can have a big daft one if you want. Do you want to put your keeper card in?
Yeah, I want to put my keeper card in, but I wanted to put him in with Duffy.
That's fine. We can.
gonna be lonely.
I'll price it up shortly. When we have our little break, I'll actually go and price it up, and then I'll come back at that afterwards. So Shane Duffy 16s or Hull to beat Plymouth if you want something a bit shorter. Recap your goalkeeper cards, name, game.
Jimmy Beadle in net for Wednesday. They travel to Sunderland, requiring a point to stay in the league.
And I will.
Got a dafty as well.
Well, I didn't come with one, but I will quickly try and get you one. Leicester at home to Birmingham. And a bet I've had all season long, and he's not scored yet. So I'm going to do the cliched. He is due one. Joe Rodon, Leeds versus Southampton. Constantly gets in the right positions at set pieces. He's come close so many times, and every fucking week I've backed him, and it's not happened. So I'm going to get it on final day. A couple of defenders to get involved with there, alongside a keeper card.
Yeah. 200-1 treble, maybe.
That'll be a lot. Or if you want something a bit smarter, bit shorter, Hull, Leicester, and give us a team to win. That you said there.
Come on.
Anyone? Any other teams you fancy?
Swansea, just say Swansea.
I fancy Swansea.
Good lad.
Swansea, apparently, a few of their kind of trebles to get involved with. At 12:30, the final day of the Championship. Coming up in part 2, it's time to discuss the playoffs in League 1, League 2, and maybe a bit more. On to the playoffs then. Before we do, I've quickly, during the break bit there, priced up James Beadle to be shown a card, Joe Rodon to score any time. That's in the Wednesday game of the card, the Leeds Southampton game, Joe Rodon score any time, and in Norwich's game, Shane Duffy any time. An odds checker tells me currently you can get 785-1 on that treble.
Oh yeah,
that is worth £1 of anyone's money, and of course, as we say, a few haven't been priced up yet either. So potentially bettering that as a treble, but you're getting at least 575-ish depending where you go. So
Sensational.
One to consider.
For a bit more sensibility, the treble that we put up, that just teams to win, that's at 6-1.
Not interested in that one. No.
Get out of here.
There are this weekend 3, I suppose, significant. Obviously, I'm not going to say significant because it matters at every level, but we've got League 1 playoffs kicking off on Friday night. Barnsley versus Bolton. That continues on Saturday when Oxford host Peterborough. Monday, League 2 is Crawley versus MK Dons. It's Crewe versus Doncaster. Both of those on Bank Holiday Monday. And the National League playoff final as well is Sunday at 3 p.m. You don't have to move off your sofa all weekend for juicy playoff football. There's some Premier League in the middle of that, but I don't give a fuck about that one. I like playoff football. Let's talk those playoffs then in the EFL, and perhaps we can also reflect on the non-league ones as well. League 1. Who are we fancying here? Because, I mean, we could talk outrights, we could talk first legs and stuff like that. Jim Rod did the outright preview on the Sport and Life website. Yeah. Who can kick us off? Who catches your eye of the 4 teams
in all honesty
involved in the playoffs?
None of them. None of them caught my eye like they did last season. But
how did last season's go?
Just a whisker away. I tipped Barnsley go up Wednesday, runners up, and then Phillips got sent off in the final just after half time. Straight red card. Wasn't even a booking, in my unbiased opinion. Wednesday went on to snatch it late. Credit to them, and it's really worked out well. I'm not bitter at all. But I feel sick to my stomach this year's one because I basically, like, it wasn't an inspiring, like, when I delved into it, I thought I'd find something. Do you know when you find something, you think, right, this is who's going to win and this is why. But basically, I think Bolton, the favourites to go up, are going to go up. They've been, obviously, they got the third best points tally in the division, and they've been really good, like, this year down the back nine, as I like to call it, because I've suddenly got into golf.
You've really got into golf, haven't you, recently? I don't know what the hell has caused this.
I don't know what's happened.
We've got to work golf day in around September time. You're going to play in that?
Might have to dust off the old... I've got one left-handed... I'm left-handed, so I've got one left-handed driver that fits, and then the rest are kids' clubs. So
I'm going to say right-handed clubs.
Yeah, right.
Like backwards, like field hockey.
That is because Jimmy is that small. He has the kids' clubs.
No, my back hurts when I do a round. What were we talking about?
Bolton Wanderers.
Yeah, Bolton, best team down the back nine, and they haven't lost against the other four in the top four. Quickly, Barnsley, watch a lot of them relegation form. They've sacked their manager, Collins. Basically, he didn't really understand the squad. He were overthinking stuff, quite conservative, didn't play players in the best position. It's pretty juvenile way of analysing it, but it's true. So, basically, the board have said, we're going to sack him, we're looking for an immediate response, 3 games, go and get us promoted. First game, 1-0, playoffs were in their own hand. They conceded a 95th minute goal to Northampton, nothing to play for Northampton, could have cost them the top
Their official title, is it? Nothing to play
for Northampton. But luckily,
yeah,
Lincoln and Blackpool didn't better their results, so they snuck in. But their relegation form, Oxford, good, but the fact that they don't play with a defensive midfielder, 4-1-4-1, scares me in a playoff campaign. And the last 4-1-4-1.
Isn't that a defensive midfielder?
4-4-1-1.
Yeah, but the defensive midfielder, Brannigan.
Right.
That's frightening.
He's a defensive midfielder in all but name. Basically, he doesn't play like one, is what you mean.
Oh yeah, that's it. I thought that was fucking obvious, weren't it?
She said 4-1.
We've overanalysed it. Back to Oxford, please.
That one in front is
Their tactics basically just scare me in a playoff campaign. And the last team,
Peterborough.
Oh yeah, right. I agonised on these for ages because heartbreak last season, as you'll be aware.
They shat the bed, yeah.
Ferguson has doubled down on his youngsters, so they've got a really young squad. How are they going to cope with this? They have won the league trophy, so they've won at Wembley, and they did so in dramatic fashion. So I was just weighing it up in my head, but I just don't trust that young squad enough. So boring, but Bolton favourites. I think those are the bet.
See, it's interesting because I think I might side with Peterborough around 2-1 because of recent experience. Yes, it's a young squad, but the Wembley experience as well. It's kind of psychology in football and playoff football, and there's 2 reasons that I suppose we'll find out on Saturday night, right? That not only, and again, there's going to be some Peterborough fans listening, so we won't dwell on it too much, but last season, the most remarkable playoff comeback we've ever seen, really. 4-0 down to then win. And the fact that Wednesday's equaliser was like the most awful clearance ever. If the boy just gets the boot under the ball and boots it, done, through Wembley. Maybe they go up. And Oxford very recently have battered Peterborough 5-0.
5-0.
I think that would have been 3 weeks before the first leg. 2 big things there to see how they kind of react to that. But fundamentally, whenever we've done these TikTok things, whenever we've done that, we always say Peterborough play. Peterborough players are always the ones that come up. They are brilliantly talented in every position. Young squad, as you say, but then there's other youngsters who suddenly step up out of nowhere late on. Is it Mothersill is his name? The striker, winger that's currently kind of there. Him, the experience of Johnson Clark-Harris alongside that as well. I know Ricky J. Jones has kind of dropped out of the team a little bit, but to me it just feels that, I don't know, when you kind of look at the other kind of teams involved, and again, a repeat performance against Oxford would see the tie dead. Or would it? Maybe this is their big revenge thing, to come from 5-0 down and go through to Wembley. To me, I'd be siding potentially with Peterborough. That's the outright, and we'll touch on the first legs shortly. Jake, I'm feeling you'll agree with Jim Rod.
Just drowned you in information there.
I know, yeah. I'm just trying to process it in my brain, all that stuff. It was all good content, I'll give you that much. But yeah, I am with Bolton. Unbeaten against fellow playoff rivals, I think, is a huge bonus psychologically. Shows he can deal with them as well. The best defensive team in terms of goal conceded. Good unbeaten run going into the playoffs. The best team in the league, full stop, on the underlying data across the last 12 games. So not only are they in the best form, but they're also the best underlying data, which obviously if they continue on that level, then they probably will do enough. But I will caveat that with the fact that this is all of a sudden knockout football. It's completely different kettle of fish. You could be not the best team and get promoted. We've seen that before. But I do think that Bolton probably, I would give them the edge and back them to go up.
First legs then Friday night and Saturday night. Obviously there's the outrights there if you want to get involved in those. But of course we want to give you picks that you can get involved with across the course of the weekend. Herbie Kane, anytime at 5-1, jumped out to me in the Barnsley-Bolton game. Jim Rod's immediately booing it.
We're on a different player, aren't we, to score?
This is effectively, it was kind of the change under Martin Duvernay, is that his name? The caretaker in charge.
I was going to say his name earlier, but I thought, fucking hell, I forgot.
Devaney.
D. Gavigny.
No, that's completely wrong.
Off, isn't it?
Effectively, there's slight tactical tweaks of bringing Luca Connell back, him to play kind of the more defensive role in that midfield. I know he's not necessarily been at his best this season, but he can really contribute in that area. Allowed Herbie Kane to kind of go alongside Alan Phillips as being your more attacking midfielders. That led to a goal. Player that likes to shoot from distance anyway. I think Kane 9 for the season. I think he's on. You get 5-1 on him to score in the home leg at Oakwell. Gambling on those tactical tweaks we saw against Northampton continuing. Again, it's one game, so who knows? But they kind of stuck with the back three type thing with those little changes there of Connell coming in. Herbie Kane got forward. Herbie Kane scored a goal, backing him to do the same at 5-1. Open floor for any other first leg shouts that we like.
Yeah, I don't have out, so I'll leave it to Jim.
You leave it to old Jim. Can I just say what a wonderful time of the year it is? Isn't it good?
Yeah, it's good. It's also good filler there while you try and find a bet.
How very dare you?
That's what I think.
It's a shame odds checker's so slow.
It is a wonderful time of football, festival of football. We use that phrase again. You just give me a nod when you've got the odds that you need.
Oh, it's not priced. I was looking to see if they're priced cards. I will just ramble here for a second because like when lower league games are on telly and the playoffs, you usually get card prices, and it's a great opportunity to exploit a market not usually available because you have some absolute cannons. You mentioned Herbie Kane and a tactical tweak. He's actually got 12 cards this season, 2 in his last 2. He's a technician. He's not the most mobile, but he's plucky, so I'm not surprised to see his card count that high. And I think if he is, I don't want to sound like a dickhead, but if he is like a number 8 now, as opposed to a holding midfielder, he's going to be more exposed in transition. So card might be the way when they price it.
Kane card and goal.
Ooh,
just in case. Maybe scores 2. Maybe gets sent off. Just in case.
Hat-trick and red card.
This could be it. This could be the Jim Rod special at a ginormous price in that one. Anything Oxford Peterborough, or should we move on to League 2? I don't know. I don't have anything yet in that, I'll be honest. I'm not sure.
If I was to do anything, I'd go unders at Oakwell, overs at Oxford.
That's a good shout.
Yeah, short price though, the over 1-2.
No, I meant a double. Under over Pepsi Cola. 3.
That's a nice Friday, Saturday one there.
I'll probably go BTTS and over in the Oxford game.
That would. I think that's going to be a popular bet, isn't it? I think.
You mentioned the 5-0, but the XG in that game was, I think it was 3.2 to 2.6. So Peterborough actually squandered loads of chances, and they beat them 3-0 in the reverse as well. So they're more than capable of scoring. And Oxford absolutely flying into the playoffs. So BTTS and over.
2 votes for Bolton in the outright, 1 vote for Peterborough from me in League 1, which takes us nicely on to League 2. It's annoying because usually I like to have a little playoff winner treble. You can kind of, I suppose, do that if you want to gamble on who's going to be in the championship, but it's split this year, which means I can't just do it as to win the playoffs, which is annoying. But League 2, that is Monday, Bank Holiday Monday. Both games are on there to get involved with. Are we all on Donny? Is this where we're going, or what's the way? So Doncaster, we spoke about them before. They were 750 to 1 at the start of March to make the playoffs. They did do that. They flew into the playoffs. I know they drew on last day, but it was okay there. Takes them to Crewe, who I think of the 4 probably are the one you'd want to face at the moment. Made it on last day. They were going in anyway, but that draw, the late goal at Colchester, secured that. I can see Doncaster being probably the most popular pick for a lot of people when it comes to the playoffs.
Yep. 9-4 to go up, but I think it just back them to win the away leg at 8-5. I think that's a big price, the way in which they're playing. We mentioned the goalkeeper got sent off in the last game against Gillingham. That's been rescinded, so he's now available, which is a huge boost.
How? was that rescinded?
How on earth? He's like 2 yards outside the goal. What?
Ball's gone over his head. He's just gone, I'll have this. Whee! And he's somehow got it rescinded, which I can understand if Crew aren't particularly happy about that.
Anyone going to have a crack at his name?
I don't even know.
No, we were leaving it to you.
Fuck off. Timothy Lilotulala.
Handball merchant from outside the area.
They can play, and that's monumental. There he is, look.
Timothy Lotutula.
Excellent.
Tutala, yeah. But anyway, he's back between the sticks, and I think rather than chancing Doncaster to get promoted, I think just back him in the first leg away. I think it's a big price. I expected a little bit shorter, to be fair, given the way that they've played, given the way that Crew have finished the season. So that'd be my advice on Doncaster.
Who are we going outright then? Who jumps out in this market if you want to have the outright bet before it all kicks off on Monday? The price has gone down a bit. It was big on Monday when I first started looking. Crawley are now 11-2. They were 13-2, sevens-ish, because, of course, they play MK Dons in what is going to be the El Pasico, as I'm calling it. Two sides who are going to pass.
Okay, guys.
But Crawley, to me, naturally, as anything does, the first leg is huge for them and their chances of progression. That said, that price has absolutely crashed as well. They were 2-1 on Monday to win. They're now around 5-4, 13-10 on that one.
Does it not concern you that Crawley's form against the teams that finish above them was absolutely diabolical?
I was kind of, looking...
2 wins in 12, 8 defeats.
Looking
Whenever
at
they
the
played a
game,
good team, they got beat quite comfortably.
I don't know, maybe I've got caught up a bit in Scott Lindsay for me probably being the manager of the season in League Two. Massively overperformed on that front. A lot of people, myself included, had them not only to get relegated but probably to finish bottom because of the problems that were going on there. He's installed a clear playing style that has been successful, and I've kind of really got caught up in this, and I think when it goes to a playoff campaign, I think MK Dons beat them quite recently, maybe it feels like, but they can kind of play them at their own game because they are quite similar in their styles. And to me, it just feels like if they get to Wembley as well, it's probably a pitch that is suited for the way that they want to play the game. And it is just a massive value play. If they win that first leg, that's huge. Even if it's only about a goal and they can just try and hold on or something away from home, that would be absolutely massive. I'm aware that if they don't win the first leg, this price is going to go to about 20s, so maybe get involved. But to me, just probably the value pick of the four because I'm just not too sure on the others. Jim Rod?
Yeah, leave it for me, to be honest. Like Crew ran out of steam. I love Crew, but they've gone, I think.
The railwaymen have run out of steam. Do something with Steam Railway. Do something with that.
They've fallen off the tracks, haven't they? They've finished. Crawley, you make a good case, but Ian Mike's been the best manager in the division since he took charge. MK Don's been the best side. And then you got Donny's form. Traditionally, I always look at form going into the playoff campaign, like over a 10-game period. Whoever's got the best form, that's usually what the colours I nail my mask to. And they've got the keeper back. I was just looking, he played his first game in February. The uptick in form has got to be a large part down to getting someone reliable in between the sticks. So, no bet for me. No bet for me.
I think the one thing for me, I'll say on Crawley, MK Dons I think have been not very good, or not as good as they should be away from home. Their away form has not been great. I think the only away teams they've beaten recently, Harrogate, Forest Green maybe, they got battered by Stockport. And considering 2 of your 3 games in a playoff campaign are away, I think maybe neutral. That's why. Well,
you said Crawley will like the Wembley pitch. MK Dons probably will like that as well.
Yeah, but then only one of them's going to be there. So if Crawley could get through, that's what I mean. Like, if you're kind of so into home comforts and then only one of your 3 are kind of towards that, maybe it's a bad thing. Any first leg bets, or you've mentioned one there, of course, Doncaster to win. Jim Rod, no pressure whatsoever because you were happy to you were happy to sit it out, and I'm more than happy to say that if you wanted to move on and talk about any other potential playoffs that are involved.
I was tapping away because I want to talk about the National League. Do you want to talk about the National League?
I want to talk about the National League playoffs at Wembley Stadium. Bromley take on Solihull Moors on Sunday at 3 p.m. I believe that is televised, of course, on TNT if you wanted to watch that. Go on then, take it away, Jim Rod.
Well, I want to talk about the North. You take the National League away.
You said National League.
I meant the National League as a whole.
Structure. We'll come to the North shortly because why not? It is, of course, playoff final. To me, I'm siding with Bromley. against Solihull. Solihull have had a great playoff campaign, scored 4 against Barnet, scored 4 against Halifax, although nearly went to 3-3 in that Halifax game there. It's just Bromley have always been around the playoff picture for a few years now. I know they've finished outside of it one of those years. It just feels that this is their strongest possible chance. If they have like a start like they had the start of the second half against Altrincham, they are going to blow them out of the water. They're absolutely superb in that. Naturally, they were 1-0 down, so of course they had to come out and play, but they completely just 3 goals in about 15 minutes and really limited Alty to not very much after that to hold on to the lead as well. To me, I think that's probably the reason why. And recently when they played, I'm sure Bromley just let Solihull have the ball. They basically went, you can have the ball, we're not too fussed. And then they just waited for the opportunities. And they had some really, really good opportunities when they beat them in that game. Would not surprise me whatsoever if this plays out in a similar manner. See, Solihull have large majority of the possession, but Bromley get the better chances. So I'll side with Bromley around 6-4 in this one. Unless Jake's got anything dying to say about the National League.
Not really, no.
Happy to step down.
What time is this one on? When?
3 p.m. on Sunday.
On Sunday?
Yes.
All right, so just before... Yeah, okay. Nothing for me.
Don't worry about the Premier League. Complete waste of time nowadays. These are big games.
This is where it's at.
Jim Rod can have the National League North because I'll tell you for why. It is on TNT Sports 1 on Saturday at 3:30. So it is televised, so you can have it. Take us away.
May the 4th be with you. The beauty of the North and South playoffs is the highest side has the home advantage. It's just one leg. So this game, I believe, will be played at Brackley. It's against Boston.
Yes.
And I've got to admit, I think that's a good system for the playoff as a whole. The team who finishes higher has the advantage in a one.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I like it a lot because there's naturally no point going to Wembley. Let's be honest at that level. It's really incentive to finish as high as possible, and it is a huge advantage.
Like the Championship, we're talking about rotating. If we had the better system such as they have in the National League, everyone plays until the final day because there's a huge incentive, like you say.
So American sports do that as well, don't they?
Yeah.
Highest seeds get the home advantage until the big Super Bowl. But yeah, that's a really, really good way of doing it. I'm a big fan of that.
Absolutely.
Naturally, Brackley
at home.
Advantage.
They are playing the shysters that are Boston United. They haven't scored a goal in the playoff campaign. Won both games against Alfreton on penalties 5-4, Scunthorpe 5-4 on penalties. Absolute credit to them because they've limited the opposition to very little. Rode their luck, superb defensively, and I think crucially, very, very, very well supported. I think they took over 1,000 to the Impact at Alfreton, then must have took loads to Scunny, and in circumstances where this is weighted in the favour of the home team, when you've got massive away support, I know it's a bit of a flimsy argument, but it must have some sort of impact when you bring in almost as many fans as the home team. So what is my bet for this? I know Duffman, you disagree, but I think watching Boston, I just cannot resist but go for the 0-0 draw again. I'd be interested to see.
90 minutes only for clarity, of course.
What a great reason to tune in and watch.
Yeah, well, if you got a little wager on no goals, and if you've watched
the worst possible bet, isn't it?
It is awful. You're like, no. But it is good. And it's cliche. It goes all the way to the top, but every team, if we had a 20-goal-a-season striker, we'd be pushing for such and such next season, right until the very top. It's no different here, and they are like gold dust. My point is, chances go a-begging often. So it could be a great game and it could finish 0-0. You see that often in this league, don't you? So I think 0-0. 9-1, you can get that with Sky. I don't know if it's priced with 365 yet. Oddschecker's not pulling it through, but it might be up there with there. And it's not going to be fun, but I think it's the way to go here. You think completely different.
Yeah, we've waffled on, so we'll wrap up shortly. I went Brackley to win in that one because I was looking at it. 7 of 12 against those in the top 7 have ended in wins for Brackley. Boston have only won 2 of their 12 against teams who are also in the playoff picture of that top 7. And 10 of the last 12 for Brackley at home, we talk home advantage, have been in victories. Alfreton were in that run. Chorley twice, Scunthorpe, Tamworth, who won the division as well, were all included in that run. So I'll side with the home team there. How the hell do we recap all this in this section to say what we want? I mean, I will shout out my treble that I'm going for a treble of Bromley in the National League playoff final, Brackley in the National League North, and I'm going to take you to the Southern League Central playoff final on Monday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. AFC Telford to beat Leamington as well. The entire town usually turns up for big games.
It's insanely neat.
They have another home leg, Kevin Wilkins' side, having beaten Mickleover on Wednesday night 2-0. That treble of those three teams around 10-1. If you want something to cheer on Saturday, Sunday and Monday. That's not televised, the Monday game, I'm afraid. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it's on somewhere. That would be my one. Do the same thing. One best bet from the entire weekend of those playoff games that we discussed. Mentioned there. Even if it's an outright pick, go back them now. That's where the value. Or you side in with...
Yeah, I'll take Donny to go and win at Crew.
Donny to win at Crew. Jimrod?
No goals in Brackley against Boston on Saturday afternoon for me.
I will then take... As we said there, then I'll go for the National League playoff final. I'll take Bromley to beat Solihull in 90 minutes. A nice little playoff-related treble there. A lot to get involved with. Maybe on the website we'll put all these kind of in a pick-your-own style, pick-a-mix, pick them out, however you want to phrase it, type thing. You can kind of just get involved with it. It's incredibly tough to build an Acca. We don't like going cross days, so hopefully it's not too confusing. Hopefully there's a lot of bets there that you can get involved with. If you are getting involved, remember to keep it fun. Never bet more than you can afford, and please gamble responsibly. Get in touch with us on social media. Search Sport and Life Football. You'll find us that way, or in the YouTube comments. Head over to sportandlife.com/football. We'll put something out with all those bets in. We've got all our preview content for the weekend's action as well. If you haven't already, please follow, rate us on iTunes, Spotify, or your chosen podcast provider. We need to work out a podcast schedule, really, don't we? Now I think that next week we will be back.
Thin, isn't it? With the
Championship playoffs, Premier League, but soon getting to Euro 2024 time. That has snuck up on us, hasn't it?
Very sneaky.
Regardless, we will be back with you next week.